Hi, good morning, you guys. We're going to do bar class this morning for our core workout, but we are going to start on the ground. So you don't need a lot of space, just a little bit of space that you can lie down. And you'll want your block or your ball that you're going to use to help with connecting into the legs specifically. And when you've got all your stuff gathered and nearby, you go ahead and lie back. I'll change my camera angle a little bit here. Be lying on our backs with our knees bent in kind of standard neutral position, and start with whatever you're using between your inner thighs, probably between the knees, and just start with some very soft breathing into the ground. So with the weight of the body falling into the ground, inhale. And as you exhale, feel that softening into the ground that I often refer to. Inhale through the nose. Feeling the feet. As you exhale, you begin to lightly squeeze the knees against the block, side to side. It's very subtle activation. So when you're exhaling, when you're squeezing the knees, you want to stay relaxed in the front of the hip creases. You want to avoid squeezing the glutes and very much specifically get into the inner thighs. If you're having trouble finding that, you can take your fingertips and just lightly touch the tops of those muscles.
Kiefer, take the yoga mat.
You kegel, you exhale, you squeeze the block very lightly, and feel the response in the muscles of your lower belly. Breathe in through the nose. The chest and the belly wall are soft, and so they're going to rise a little bit with the inhale. As you exhale and empty the lungs, the belly sinks, and the chest kind of spreads and opens wide side to side. 2 more rounds of breath like this. Inhaling. Lightly squeezing the block, kegel, and exhale. One more. Now we're going to begin to actually bridge the pelvis up and down. Like push-ups, we're going to keep, pardon me, it's allergy season. Like push-ups, we're going to keep a neutral spine, but instead of pushing the weight of our body away from the floor with our arms, we're going to push the weight of our body away from the floor with our legs. So a little bit more bar class specific. Lift and spread the toes, and then lengthen them down into the floor as you spread also across the balls of the feet. Center your heels. Inhale. Kegel, begin to squeeze the block as you begin your exhale, and then push the feet directly down against the floor from the back of the thighs, the back of the hips, relaxing the front of the hips and the quads, and feeling isolation, a discrete connection in the low abs. Inhale here, apart from the hip flexors, and then exhale and lower down. We do 3 more of these guys. Keep a steady plant through the feet. Inhale in preparation. You're kegling, you're squeezing the blocks. You begin your exhale, and then as the exhale builds, add in the legs, the back of the hips. Feel that clarity in the low abs as the front of the hips and thighs stretch long. Inhale at the top, and exhale to lower. 2 more of these guys, please. Take a breath to prepare. Exhale and hinge the hips upward. Even at the top, make sure that your shoulders and your chest are wide and open. Inhale here. When you exhale and lower down, keep the shoulders and chest wide and open rather than allowing the arms to pinch forward and the shoulders to ride the neck. 1 more time, please. This time we're gonna stay at the top. So you'll Kegel, exhale, bridge upward, doing your little back of the hip and thigh push up. We'll do little pulses, so listen carefully, keeping neutral spine. On your inhale, lower the hips a little bit, and then exhale, press fully up as you squeeze the block and fully use the back of the legs. Do 4 more of these, lowering just a little bit with your inhale, still neutral, then exhale, press into full extension and lift. 3 more times. Feel the completion of that line from the spine, through the center, through the thighs. So from your head to your knees or shoulders to knees. Inhale at the top. Now different, we're gonna exhale and roll down. So hip roll wise, rolling through the spine on your way back down to the ground. When you've done that, hi Marianne, when you've done that, go ahead and stretch one leg long on the mat. I'm gonna sit up and demonstrate, but you guys are lying down. We did a version of this in mat class yesterday. We have one leg stretched, we have a neutral spine, and we're gonna relax the outer part of the hips. Prepare with an exhale. And on the inhale, let the bent knee drop out to the side as you rotate open from the hip. Sole of the foot will roll off the ground. Now Kegel, exhale, inner thigh comes back into line with the inner hip. Big toe plants. We do 4 more of these, warming up the inner thigh to core connection. Inhale, thigh rotates open, and exhale, pull into the inner thigh from the lower abs via the Kegel. Last 3, opening slowly, releasing tension in the outer hip. And exhale, re-squaring. Moving toward the end of your set of 5. When you open the knee to the side, continue to relax wide across the back of the pelvis, so you don't want to pinch the glutes in against the sacrum. And then exhale, using inner and front line rather than back. Push this leg long, the one that you just finished. And then of course you'll bend the other knee. Warming up that inner thigh connection. Prepare with an exhale, set both the tone of your core and the position of your spine. On your inhale, allow the bent knee to drop out to the side. And then Kegel, specific with the inner thigh connection. Exhale, return to parallel leg. 5 total. And this is warm up. Yeah, we're being picky with it, but we're not being very assertive with it or struggling with it. Warming up the muscles we're going to use later in our standing work. Finish the last one off. And then stretch both legs long. Roll over onto your front. And we just do hip extension with legs reaching long. And that's the last thing we'll do on the floor. So no worries, we'll get up and we'll do our more normal bar workout. We're gonna be moving only the legs, right? The back of the knees will be straight, the tips of the toes pointed long. Rest the head on the hands. Feel your neutral posture here on the front of the body. Pubic bones, the 2 hip points, your ASISs, resting into the mat. The front of the ribs aligned with the front of the pelvis and on up. The shoulders in a comfortable position with the head resting. Scooch the feet together from the top of the inner thighs and stretch behind the knees, lightly engaging inner thighs, medial quads, calves as you point the toes, and hamstrings as you feel the back of the legs pick up a little bit without lifting. Take a breath. Kegel, your head is down. You'll exhale and continue the stretch through the legs and lift them up. Moving only at the hip joints, keep stretching through the knees. Take a breath at the top. Point your toes a little more, and then exhale and lower down. 4 more of these guys. Moving only on the exhale breath, you're stretching and extending the legs from the hips. And then exhale and lowering down. Final 3. Now the spine itself is undisturbed by the motion of the legs at the hips. Still got lots of length and lots of core tone. Last couple, when you lift the legs, make sure that you're not subtly engaging the sides of the neck or the top of the shoulders. And when you've done the last one and have lowered the legs fully into ground, sit back into a shell stretch. And you can sit on your heels or you can sit on your hips. The real point is to get a deep and even curve through the spine. So as you hold the shell stretch for half a minute more, you can of course move the head around a little bit, move the shoulders around a little bit. And go ahead and roll up. And come to standing. So I'll give you a moment if you need to shuffle the mat out of the way. I do. And I'll be changing my camera angle as well. All right, you guys. So we'll be in a standing position. I've angled things so you can see my feet, but not necessarily my head. If I do something interesting with my head, I'll be sure and let you know. Rest assured, it's still on top of my shoulders. All right. So just going to walk through those feet. Go ahead and rise up as a preface to that walking. And then begin to walk a little side to side. And move a little bit forward so you can more clearly see my feet ideally. A little bit of an oblique angle. As you walk, be sure you go a little bit over the tops of the toes, not with weight in the feet, but just making sure that the toes themselves are able to articulate. We're just going to do one set of walking this morning. A couple more to each side. And when you're even across the sides, go ahead and just stand for a moment. Now here, we're going to bend into the knees. Inhale as you do that. Place your hands to your thighs and exhale, round the spine like a cat. Keep the knees bent and inhale, extend the spine, arching upward. Exhale, round forward again. And roll up. Stand on your left foot and come onto the tips of the right toes and do little circling motions here. Over the top of the foot. Go the other way. And then cross this right foot over top of the left leg, squeezing the thighs together from the top of the hips, and bend deeply into the legs. Here too, you can round forward if that felt nice for the spine. Sometimes it feels pretty good to go the other way as well. Really feel the hips lengthening back. And then come on up. Stand on the right foot, kick the left heel forward, and pull the hips back. So you get a little stretch behind the knee and through the hamstrings, through the back of the hip. Toes are pulling up as well, so you'll feel this behind the calf and the ankle. Roll up. Stand on the right leg, and now the left foot begins the whole sequence to the other side. So little circles. Again, we're articulating the toes, the arch, the ankle, and the knee, the hip. So the whole lower chain of this leg. Go the other way as well, please. And then we cross this over. Left foot over the top. Squeezing the legs together, sitting back into the hips. Maybe a little rounding. Maybe a little extension. Come up. Left foot goes onto the ground. Right heel kicks forward. We pull the hips back and have a stretch through the right hamstrings, hips, back of the knee, and calf area. Pull the toes up. Move your head around a little bit. And go ahead and come on up. Both feet underneath you. Please grab the ball at this point or yoga block. I'm going to use the ball this morning between my knees. I'm going to try and get to a place where I've got better light. It's definitely spring today, you guys. Spring in Alaska, which means it's gray and foggy. All righty. So beginning with a very simple pattern, we have a neutral posture through the spine. We're going to exhale and very lightly squeeze the ball, beginning the feeling of that squeeze from the lower part of the inner thigh muscles. Be aware of where your feet are. Feel the big toes. And from that feeling in the feet, exhale, squeeze the inner thighs. Do that a third and final time. And on the inhale breath, bend the knees. Always get a good ankle pop. Squeeze the ball, exhale from the feet. Begin that impulse upward as you exhale and straighten the legs. Inhale to bend the knees. Squeeze the ball from the feet. Kegel, exhale upward, stretch the legs. And by now you've got the idea. I'd like you to please do 4 more of these. The ball or whatever between the knees is going to help you maintain the alignment. So we've got good mechanics from the hips downward and from the ground upward. Almost there. We'll bend the knees 2 more times. Now the last time you bend the knees, stay. So I'll give you the change in view here. We bent the knees. We've got a neutral spine. You're tilting forward just slightly because we're going to keep the heels on the ground. And we're going to pulse downward on the exhale breath. As you squeeze the ball, exhale, pulse downward, firming and lengthening core upward as you also require a little bit more of those hamstrings, glutes, and thighs up a little bit with your inhale. Squeeze the ball a little bit more out of the inner thighs and the quads as you bend up a little bit. 4 more pulses here, working toward a total of 6. With each repetition, invest a little bit more in core and pelvic floor and get a little bit wider and more relaxed through the low back area. Last 2. Stay at the bottom, inhale, and then exhale, straighten your legs and stretch all the way up, fully extending into the hips. On your inhale breath, begin to lift the heels from underneath. Squeeze the ball from the toes and exhale, lower the heels, reaching them into ground as you feel the breath rising up, supporting your length. Slowly inhale up. Slowly exhale down. And this too should be a way of putting a little bit more into your core each round and giving you the time to refine what's going on elsewhere in the body. The tracking of the ankles, the feet, the toes, the release of pressure from the back of the pelvis. Please rise up 2 more times. Inhale up and exhale down. Inhale up and exhale down. And now we double time it. Inhale up and down. Exhale up and down. Inhale. Inhale up and down. Exhale up and down. One more inhale. One more exhale. Stay at the top. We'll inhale, bend the knees a little, and exhale, fully straighten. Bend the knees a little. Now you can't see my spine, but my spine is more vertical. We've got 5 more of these guys. Spine is vertical. Last half of the set. You're using inner thighs along with core, connecting from ground through big toes. And when you straighten the legs, get this little muscle above the inner knee. If you're looking it up, or if you're familiar with anatomy, you can call it VMO. Vastus medialis obliquus. Hold at the top of the last one. Inhale, lower your heels. Exhale, bend into your knees. We do our little cat-cow stretch again. Round forward through the spine. And then stretch the other way. Release into your curve and roll up. Now I'll shift the camera angle a little bit because we are going to do something for head and shoulders. You can ditch the ball if you like, or keep holding on to it. I'm going to hang on to mine just because it's a nice connection for me into my legs. You can have hands down or a hand on the chair. We're going to drop the chin to the chest and take the right ear toward the right shoulder. Release downward toward the center, chin dropping, but not smashing the height of the throat or neck, right? We stay long there. Take the left ear to the left shoulder. So we're not trying to touch our chin to our chest. We're simply tilting it downward and keeping the height through the jawline. Now take right ear to right shoulder. And then we're going to reach it up and back just a little bit, making a complete circle. Go the other way. Left ear to left shoulder. Up and back to right. And finally, going in the rightward direction, take the chest and the shoulders, a big circle through the upper body. And go in the second direction. Hopefully no one is seasick at this point. Good. Bring your right arm up and place the fingertips behind the ears. And have left hand on the low belly. So in between your hip points, your ASIS is on the front of the pelvis. Inhale and begin to lift the right elbow up, relaxing the side of the neck. And then exhale, bend to the side. We're bending to the left, just to be clear. Continue to reach long and ground through the right foot. It's easy to kind of drift off to the left side. Breathing deeply into this right side. We inhale and then exhale and return. Extend the right arm out to the side and then wrap it around. If you're not using a bar, you can simply stabilize on the side of the hip. Or if you've got a countertop, right, you can do that. Release, twist. We do the same side bending sequence in the other direction. Right hand is down, left hand behind the ears. Find both of your feet and stretch up under the elbow without elevating the shoulder. Exhale and bend to the opposite side. Keep both feet grounded, both legs long. Inhale and exhale, return. Extend the arm out, wrap it around. You can either stabilize on the hips or you can have a hand down. And release. Returning to the feet and the legs. I will again shift the camera just a smidge. Ball between the knees if you've taken it out. We'll exhale in preparation for the next sequence of movements. And then on your inhale breath, bend your knees. On your exhale breath, lift your heels. On your inhale breath, stretch your legs. And on your exhale breath, lower your heels. Just 4 of these guys. Inhale, bend. Feel the grounding of the feet, the weight settling down into the floor. Exhale, lift your heels. Keep the hips and head at the same height. Exhale, stretch your legs. Inhale, lower your heels. 2 more. I'm sorry, that's an inhale here. Exhale, lift your heels. We're inhaling to stretch the legs. Exhaling to lower. 1 more entirely through the sequence. And then inhale, bend your knees. So we're keeping the bend of the knees. We're keeping the hips at the same height. We're keeping a neutral spine, perhaps with a little forward tilt, just slight. We're going to lift and lower through the heels. So I'll shuffle my feet back. You can see what's going on. On the exhale, heels come up, hips stay in the same position, or the pelvis does. And on the inhale, heels lower down. Exhale up. Inhale down, 6 more. Exhale. Inhale. Two more. Inhale, lower the heels. Exhale, stretch the legs. Now, inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend into the knees and feel the spine sliding down an imaginary wall, still vertical. Lower the heels. Inhale, allow a forward tilt. And exhale, stretch. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend into the knees, sliding down that wall. Inhale, tilting as the heels lower. And exhale, stretching the legs. 2 more times through the entire sequence. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, heels ground. Exhale, stretch. Come up 1 more time. Squeeze the ball, bend into the knees just a little. And then allow your spine to tilt forward a smidge. Squeezing inward, we do pulses downward at the same time. Exhale. Halfway through, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Lower your heels and stretch your legs. Okay. Put the ball off to the side. Stand on your left leg, and we do a quad stretch through the right. So pick up the leg from outside. And just hang on to it for a moment here. As you hang on to it, go ahead and circle the ankles. Go the other way as well. And then supporting the weight of the leg with the arm, Use your glutes and your hamstrings to gently stretch the quads, slowly pulsing back 1. Releasing a little on the inhale, pulsing back 2. Twice more, pulse back 3. Pulse back 4. And then put the foot down. And other side. That leg should feel like a brand new thing. Okay. So now other quads, reach from behind and outside. Just breathe here for a moment. You can begin to circle the ankle. Bringing out all the pops and snaps and crackles. Go the other way. And then as you support the weight of the leg with the arm, use the glutes and the hamstrings to gently pull the leg toward the back. You'll stretch the quads as you do that. Inhale, release, and do a total of 4. And put that foot down. Okay, so ball between the thighs again. But I'm going to turn sideways to you. We're going to do our hinge forward. Yeah, so recall that, you know, your hips are here and your waist is here. So when you bend forward, if you're moving from the waist, you'll have a shift in your posture. If you're moving from the hips, right, your spinal posture should be the same. To assist in that endeavor, we're going to bend the knees just a little bit, which puts a little bit more adaptability into the hips. And you can even bring your fingertips to the side of the pelvis. Prepare with an exhale breath. On the inhale, allow the hinge at the hips. And on the exhale, from the feet, squeeze the ball, engage the core, and extend into a neutral hip line. Inhale, hinging at the hips. And exhale, using the back of the hips and the thighs along with the bottom of the feet, interchain with the legs to extend. Keep going here. Now this is a lot like our bridging that we did from a reclined position on the mat. It's part of our warm-up. Right, we've got just a little bend in the knees, and this is kind of like we're lying down on the mat. When we reach the point of pressing the hips forward or upward, here's the work that we did previously. So we should be all warmed up for this. Do 2 more, please. The next time you hinge forward, stay. So wherever your hinge is, you could be at a slight angle upward, you could be horizontal, you know, use the place where you're challenged but not defeated in your posture and in your support. We're going to do a little bit more bending and stretching through the legs, right? So I like to keep my hands in that position. Oh, actually, I'm going to move them so you can see what my spine's doing. We're going to stay neutral in the spine. Inhale, bend the knees a little bit more. And then exhale. Stretch through the legs. They don't have to get straight. Inhale, bend a little bit more. And exhale, push the floor away with your abs, not with your low back. Inhale, bend the knees. And exhale. 2 more. Bending into the knees. Holding posture. 1 more. Then bend into the knees, put your hands to your thighs, round like a cat. And roll up, stretching the spine. Put the ball off to the side. Okay. So I'm going to just leave the camera where it is and kind of split the difference between the top and the bottom of me. We're going to have the arms extended to the front. We're going to be pulling one elbow back on the exhale. And as you do that, turn from the waist, but keep the pelvis and the legs in the same position. Inhale. Again, the same side, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Feel the shoulder blade retracting toward the spine. So that as the elbow clears the side of the body, the shoulder is still clear of the top of the chest. One more. And lower the arms. We do the other side. So the arms are extended in front. Without moving the hips, we're going to exhale, pull the elbow back, and turn from the waist. As you do this, right, your obliques are working to both twist you and not twist you, right? So we hold the steadiness of the hips and the legs as we also spiral into rotation through the spine from the waist, the ribs upward. I've lost count. Let's do one more. We were trying for 6. Return and lower the arms. Okay, any stretchy thing you need to do right now is fine. So we're going to stand on one leg and go up and down, or plie. We'll be in parallel. And we're going to start by standing on the left leg. It is super common, even just standing on one leg, to have one side of the body sort of do this little counterbalancing thing, or to have the hip do a thing. So we're going to maintain our alignment against rotation by using our obliques. We're still tracking the standing knee, well, both knees really. And on the exhale breath, bending the standing leg. On the inhale breath, push off. Right? On the exhale breath, bend the standing leg. And on the inhale breath, stretch long, no rotation at the hips, waist, or shoulders. Keep that going, please. And we're here aiming for 6 as well. Hand on a chair or countertop definitely is helpful. As we do our last 3, try to diminish any resistance through the outer part of the hip. We are using support muscles out here, but we're trying not to lock that area. I'll give you the oblique view. We're definitely feeling that same hinging that we had in our forward, right, previous exercise. One more. Inhale. Put the foot down, the right foot, and make a figure 4 with the leg you were just standing on. Send the hips back. And have the turnout of the leg consistent all the way down through the knee, ankle, and foot. And then go ahead and stand on the figure 4 leg. And send the other leg back into a lunge. So we're opening that hip. I'm going to keep the torso upright in this lunge and get a stretch here. We had that foot lifted from the ground a bit, and so sometimes the hip gets cranky. Raise the same sided arm up as the leg that's in back and bend. Bend away from the back leg. Release forward. And we're ready to do the other side, yeah? Okay. So this time we're standing on the leg that was in back of us. We can lift the other foot from the ground and not have any swivel or craziness happening with posture or the lifted leg. And on the exhale, bend standing knee, tracking it forward. On the inhale, stretching that leg and rising directly upward. Yeah, we do a total of 6. Exhale, guiding the knee forward toward the center line of the foot. You can peek down if you need to confirm that, but then return your gaze forward. And inhale, stretching. Last 3. Allowing the hip to hinge and then to extend. Last 2. Allowing the knee to stretch and then working up here rather than down in the knee when it's time to straighten the leg. Cross the foot you were just standing on over in a figure 4. Send your hips back, square them with your shoulders. And then that foot that's on top, we're going to take into the front foot for the lunge. Bringing the torso upright and stretching open through this hip. That same-sided arm will come up overhead. We're going to bend away from the back leg. Curve it forward. Ah, good, you guys. Okay. So, working into a little bit of turnout or lateral rotation. Let's stand. I'll stand here. Okay. We want to have that little bit of a V between the feet that is all about the direction that our thigh bones are pointing, right? So if we're standing in parallel and the exact front surfaces of the thighs are looking forward like a pair of headlights, when we turn out, it's because those front surfaces of the thighs are rotating away from each other, and that comes from the back of the hips. So you go into the first position that you can sustain from the hips. And we have an exhale here. On your inhale breath, you can have hands to hips or on a support. Inhale, bend the knees. They should go out in the direction of the toes. And then exhale and stretch the legs. Inhale and bend the knees. Exhale and stretch the legs. Continue this. Now, if you don't need to hold on to a countertop or a chair, go ahead and keep this rounded arm position. We have a couple of circles here, the roundedness through the shoulders and the arms, the roundedness through the hips and the legs. 2 more times like this. Stay at the bottom of this last one. We'll pulse downward here, and the name of the game is to stay out of tightness through the outside of the hips and to really reach into our opening through the inner thighs. There's 1. And exhale 2. Keep the heels on the ground. 3. And 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Inhale at the bottom. Now, from the bottoms of your feet, exhale, stretch the legs, lifting through the core. Feel the extension of the hips. And on your inhale, maybe a hand on the countertop, lift your heels. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. A total of 6. 3 more. Now, everyone has a slight imbalance in how they use their legs, both in the strength of them and the timing of them. Do 1 more, trying to balance out the work, lower, and then 8 times faster. Inhale up and down, Exhale up and down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lower your heels. Exhale, or lower your hips. Exhale, lift your heels. Having a problem with body parts this morning. Inhale, stretch the legs, and exhale, lower. Inhale, bend your knees. That's what I meant to say. Exhale, lift your heels. Find balance in the timing and the use of the legs. Exhale, stretch. Inhale, lower. 2 more times, please. One more. Stay at the top. Press the fingertips to the bar. And we're going to extend through the upper back a little bit. So I'll shift here. Maybe the side view. So we're in our releve. The heels are lifted. We're turned out. We've got support under the hips. We're going to press lightly down through the fingertips on countertop or bar. And on the exhale breath, release the top of the chest upward. A little bit of extension through the upper back. Inhale. And release that. Feel space behind the back of your heart and shoulder blades. Again, exhale, extend upward. Stretching, but also firming the belly wall. Inhale, release. 2 more times. Retain the balance of the legs. Exhale. Spreading the chest. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Exhale, heels ground. Bring your legs to parallel. You can widen them apart a little bit. Hold on to something. Pull the hips back. If you like, you can pull the knees together. So, as you're sort of hinging forward at the hips, among the stretches and other things you're doing, get a sense of neutral spine and how it feels to hold neutral spine in that out of vertical position, right? So usually we stand upright. So now we've got the same posture and we're holding it against the forces of gravity. Now we're going to do some plank and maybe some push-ups in a moment. Remember this feeling of supporting with the core rather than cranking your back or your hips to hang on to this. And then exhale, roll up. So you're going to need to have a countertop, a wall, or maybe even a chair. So chair works as well. Right. It's a pick your own adventure type of workout here. If you want it to be hard, pick something lower. If you want to back off a little bit, pick something higher. So whatever you've got, place your arms and shoulders.
Joyce, is this just push-ups?
It's plank and then push-ups.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we can use the floor.
Absolutely. If you want to use the floor, right? If you want the most challenge, get all the way down on the ground. Yeah. All right. So wherever you are, you're going to step the feet into a place where you can find a neutral hip extension. Yeah. And we just breathe here. Super simple. We feel an openness across the top of the shoulders, a length in the back of the neck, and depth through the front and back of the chest. So we're not all scrunched and squeezed inward. In fact, on the exhale, you want to feel like you're expanding in all directions from the center of your pelvis. We breathe in and out here twice more, feeling the alignment of the bottom ribs with the front of the pelvis. One more exhale, firm the back of your legs. And then on your inhale breath, bend your elbows. On your exhale breath, straighten your arms. We go for 6, bending the elbows, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. 3 more. 2. And 1. Then you'll step your feet in. If you're on the ground, you can just sit into a child's pose. If you're standing, you can do a standing cat-cow, or you can pull back from whatever you're against. And then, of course, you can also do a little shifting of the hips side to side by straightening one leg or stretching one leg and then the other. Roll through the spine on your way up when it's time to come up. Yeah. And we'll continue, this time facing side to whatever you're working with. And sometimes we face toward it. We'll face side. There we go. I'm going to try not to kick a hole in my window is what I'm doing. So just to give you an idea of what we're doing here, we're going to have a first position through the legs. We're going to tilt sidewards, right? And so that bottom leg is turned out a little bit. We're in a side-facing position. The top leg is lifted to parallel, and ideally we're on a line, right? So if you need a little bit of time to arrange your space, go ahead and do that. All right. We got our turned out position. I'm gonna slide my chair away. I want to keep my window intact today. And we're gonna tilt from the hip. So again, it's a hip hinge. Da-da-da-da. All right. So we're gonna do a little bend and stretch here through the single leg. On your inhale breath, point the top foot and pull the knee toward the torso. On the exhale breath, push through the back of the leg and stretch away, opening the hip, stretching behind the knee. Inhale, bend, and exhale, stretch. Now, you might notice too that this bottom inner thigh and medial hamstrings are working. That's a good thing. Bending and then stretching. Point the top foot. Pulse upward. It's for here, but it's also for here. Pulse up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring the knee in and put the foot down and change your facing or your direction. We do the same 2 things on the other side. I'll try this. I might kick something. All right, so we have a turned out position. We're going to hinge from the hips. When you've gotten the place you want to work from, the top leg returns to parallel. And on the inhale, you're going to bend the knee, pulling it up. On the exhale, flex and push through the sole of the foot. Feel inner thigh and low abs. Inhale, bend. And exhale, push. And finding the bottom of the foot from the back of the thigh and aligning it through the hips actually is a little tricky sometimes. There are those perfect people who have great alignment all the way up and down the chain. But for most of us, it's a little bit of work. One more, I think. When you stretch the top leg long, point the toes, and 8 times pulse upward. Bend the knee and step down. Oh. All right, so again, revisiting our theme of working the muscles on the outside of the hips without locking the muscles on the outside of the hips. We're going to return to the first side, guys. We are almost done with this side stuff. We have our same turned out position, and then we tilt. And as the body comes into the tilt, we allow the top leg to return to parallel. This one, I find it helpful to put a hand on the hip, because what we're going to do is swing the top leg forward and back. Inhale, the foot is flexed, we bring the foot forward, and then point this time on the exhale and take the leg back, maintaining its height. Oh, I'm scraping the wall. Inhale, flex, bring the foot forward, and point. Exhale, take the leg back. Please continue. Again, steady on the bottom leg. 3 more. Keep stretching behind this knee. Last 2. And last 1. Bend the knee. Bring the foot in. That standing leg, cross it over top. Ooh, squeeze together, revisiting a stretch we did earlier. Put that foot down. And once again, do our little circly over the top of the foot. Go the other way. Okay, grand finale, second side. Here we go. Make sure you're not going to kick anything. We've got our turned out position. We tilt from the hip, make parallel through the top leg. Line it all up, square it off, and on your inhale, kick this leg forward. On your exhale, point the toe and take it back. Flex and kick forward. We just do 6. Point and take it back. Inhale. Steady on the standing leg, so try not to twist at the waist. Again, this is a work for the obliques as well as the core. Last 3. Last 2. Last 1. Put the top leg down. Cross the standing leg over it. Sit back. And then come on up. And or on the tops of these toes, do little circles. Go the other way. All right, so very basic bar workout without a lot of necessity for weight or flex bands or other props, using body weight and using posture to strengthen various parts and pieces, both our abs and our core, and of course the legs. We're going to end with a little standing warm down. I'm going to stay back here. I have a wide stance through my legs. It doesn't matter so much that you can't see my feet, but my feet are just a little wider than the outer width of my hips. I'm going to have a little bend in my knees. My right hand, I'm going to inhale and bring up the side of my body, over the side of the head, pushing it to the left, bending to the left, and curving forward. Push off the ground and roll up. Now the legs stretch, but they don't have to get all the way straight. As you inhale, bring the other arm up the side of the body. Starting to push over, exhale, sequentially side bending, releasing forward through the arm and the spine. Exhale, roll up. Repeat, please. Inhale, first arm traces a line up. Over, exhale, and roll up. Again, inhale. Exhale. And up. One more to each side. Breathe in. Breathe in. Stay at the bottom. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Stretch one leg. Your weight will shift to the other side. And then stretch the other leg. Recenter, walk your feet back underneath you, not all the way together, probably just 3 or 4 inches apart. And then bend deeply enough into your knees that you can put your weight directly over the soles of your feet. Walk your hands up to your thighs or your hips, release your head, and curve through the spine on your way up. Exhaling to support the lift, the stretch, eventually straightening your knees, extending your hips, stacking your chest, opening your shoulders, placing your head, breathe in and out. And that's it for today, you guys. Good work.